the other thing that came out as connecting to this, and I think that was a tail end of the article, or at least the paragraph you just read right now, was High Republic, Old Republic, potentially. I know this wasn't on the docket today, but
no, let's talk about it. I actually wanted to address this, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay. What maybe you set it up for us? What happened here?
Well, it's rumored. Let me pull this up again. Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
It says here that he also indicated to us that the 2023 spot will be taken by another movie, likely set in the High Republic. Now, from what I understand, the High Republic, they've already got books, Star Wars novels out right now based in this era. This is kind of a new era for Star Wars. Right. And from what I understand, it's like a few hundred years before the prequels.
Yes.
That's kind of the timeline here.
Yeah, so I thought it was like 800 years or something like that before the prequels.
Right, 100 years or so, but before the prequels. So that would be just to kind of give our audience a little bit of an idea as to where on that Star Wars timeline it kind of falls. So that's rumored. The 2023 spot will be another movie likely set in the High Republic. So that's interesting. Now, is that going to be her movie?
I mean, I'm not. It maybe doesn't. I think the paragraph alludes to something else. I mean, I suppose it could be. The High Republic's interesting because the High Republic. Look, the fan base for Star Wars is so broad. It's really difficult to know the opinions of all of those different branching fandoms within the fandom, right? So, but the people that I've talked to, the people that I associate with when it comes to Star Wars, aren't exactly that thrilled about High Republic so far. Right. It's just
I haven't heard a lot of good stuff about it either. But I mean,
it's just not something that intrigues them. I'll put it that way. And to set a film there seems odd. I think it would go maybe better if you maybe start out small with the High Republic and maybe a series on Disney Plus. It just seems a little bit it just seems a little bit of a weird decision.
I would agree with you on that, and I've done a few videos on this. And look, in regards to High Republic and even Old Republic, even if they dive into the Old Republic, like Knights of the Old Republic and what have you, I think these eras, because you're kind of introducing them to like the mainstream audiences. A lot of diehard Star Wars fans are familiar with the Old Republic, right?
Very much so.
Very, very much. Very, very much. But the normies, the fan, like the general public that just goes and watches these Star Wars movies and likes them, they're not familiar with that era.
True.
You hit the nail on the head, Dre, when you said this should be a series, High Republic. And I'd even go a step further and say Old Republic should be a Disney Plus series too. Imagine what you can do with this. You give them a Game of Thrones budget. You do like an 8 or 9 episode series on Old Republic, or an 8 or 9 episode series on High Republic.
Yes,
you can really that's basically like an 8 or 9 hour movie. Right?
Yeah.
You can really dive into the characters, really get to know the era.
Yeah.
Really deep dive, what you can't do in a 2-hour movie. You can't do that in a 2-hour movie. And you can go Game of Thrones style, right? And really focus on and really get the character development and really immerse the audience in that era and give them a lot to chew on. That would be so much fun, And I'm watching this show right now on Hulu. It's not like that old of a show. It ended last year in 2020.
Okay.
It's called Vikings.
Yeah. Okay. And I heard about it.
It's a fantastic show. It's like 6 seasons. I'm almost done with season 5, but it kind of revolves around like these Vikings, and they go on like these raiding parties, and they try to conquer different territories and kingdoms and what have you. It's like this kind of like this geographical like chess board, right?
This sounds fun.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And I could see like an Old Republic kind of show, or even a High Republic show kind of being in that vein, but with lightsabers. So it's even look, if you want a marauding horde that goes out and conquers different territories, that was the Mandalorian Wars.
set in the Old Republic timeline, 4,000 years
Right.
before, as us Expand Universe savants would call before the Galactic Civil War. Before the original trilogy, 4,000 years before that, in the timeline that is Star Wars, the Mandalorians conquered a lot of the galaxy, and it became this kind of it kind of broke the Jedi a little bit, because you had Jedi who were like, we should do something, and then you had Jedi who were like, we shouldn't do something. You know, there are events leading up to that kind of suggest that their impact in the galaxy is a little bit too great, and that we should really pull back. And Jedi went to war with the Mandalorians, and that's what set up the Revan and Malak storyline that you encounter when loading up Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, for the first time. Which, by the way, guys, if you have not played that, you have to play this game. I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, or even if you're not a Star Wars fan, it's actually a really good RPG that maybe doesn't hold up in every respect, but hey, look, download it on your phone, play it a little bit. I mean, you will be addicted. I mean, it's a very, very immersive world, even for people who aren't really big Star Wars fans. They do kind of guide you through this kind of thing, and set up this, expand universe or this kind of Old Republic timeline in a great way. But hey, I think I agree with you. Look, maybe with the Old Republic, I'll speak on the Old Republic now. Which huge fan of. I just like, God. now you're sending me back to my childhood, because Expand Universe was my jam, man. And when it came to the Old Republic, that was like one of my favorite eras, because think about it, guys. When Vader comes in the picture, when you see in the prequels and the original trilogy, he removes all the Jedi. But there's really, there's no Sith. The Jedi are kind of, they've gone without the threat of the Sith for 1,000 years leading up to the events of Anakin Skywalker. And so there's really no, they put down, they handle trade routes for the Federation, right? Yeah. That's what they do. They're kind of like these kind of ambassadors. They're kind of like these, protectors of the peace and stuff like that, but there's really no threat. In the Old Republic, it's not like that. You have, thousands and thousands and, millions of Dark Jedi and Sith against millions of Jedi constantly at odds and at war, tearing the galaxy apart. And it's a really interesting time period because of that. I mean, it's just, there's so many possibilities when it comes to this. The War of Exar Kun, the, Rev and the Malak storyline, the Mandalorian Wars, as I alluded to earlier, there's too much. There's too much to list here. But maybe when it comes to the Old Republic, because there is so much lore attached to it and there's so many directions you could go, maybe setting it up via a Disney Plus series leading up to the film. Right. And then you go back to, the story on Disney Plus, and you lead up to a film. And you build the galaxy up that way, so that you can be more invested in these kind of stories. I mean, it really is. You could go in the Vikings direction, you can go in a Game of Thrones direction. I mean, it really is that big and all-encompassing. There's so many, personalities. There's so many warlords at this time. Like, you could really kind of be invested in these characters on a kind of a streaming or a series level, leading up to the big, film dotted in between. In a very similar way that maybe like X-Files and stuff was done back in the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go. I'm telling you. I think when it comes to the Old Republic, High Republic, that Disney Plus series is the way to go, because you have to introduce that world to the normies, the general public. And the best way to do that, where you can really give them the most and really get them to understand and really deep dive, is through a series, an 8 or 9 episode series that you just can't, you don't want to cram all that in 2 hours.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you on that front. I was like, man, the Old Republic, it lends itself towards the cinema, and I believe it does in some form. But like you said, I think you bring up great points where it's like there's so much to chew on. Maybe it's better to kind of slow roll that out and set that up carefully and strategically through and methodically through a series, and really have that all culminate in films dotted throughout, and before sending that off to the cinematic, where you have multiple films, maybe a year or even more stretched out more than that. So that's man, there's just so much you can do here. There's just such a big playground. I really hope they get this right. I really do. There's so much potential here. You know, there wasn't that big of a potential for the, you know, even the sequel trilogy or the original trilogy or anything like that to really set up these big, just balls to the walls, as our buddy George would say, big Jedi versus Sith, you know, dark versus light concepts on this huge, massive scale, simply because of the constraints of the universe, as George Lucas, kind of designed at the outset. But with the Old Republic, all bets are off. I'm telling you, it's great.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah, Disney, if you're watching, do a Disney Plus show. Whether High Republic, Old Republic, and really the High Republic era. I know a lot of people don't like those books, and that's fine. But the era itself seems really cool, you know, and it's an era that we haven't dived into, in the Star Wars universe, at least in terms of film or TV or anything like that. So I think that would be a really cool era. Like, they just have to do it right. And from what I understand, the books aren't that great, but that doesn't mean that like a TV show for that wouldn't be great. You know, like if they did a series, they can really go, like George says, balls to the wall and go all out with that. And that would be really cool. So there's an enormous amount of potential, and that really is the future of Star Wars, I think. Are these these old Republic kind of stuff. That's where Star Wars really should go. Get away from the Skywalker stuff.
Please do. Please.
You know?
Really. And honestly, get away from that kind of time period as well. I mean, we know how that story ends. We know where that goes. 4,000 years, all bets are off. You know, anything could happen. Any story could take place. It's even though Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett bring a really nice kind of unique perspective on some of the, kind of auxiliary stories that are going on at the same time within this period, we kind of know that world. We know the universe. We have films on one end, we have films on the other end. Like we know where it's going, kind of thing. If there's an arc and direction that only it can go. With the Old Republic, man, I'm just telling. It's like, more than anything, Disney, please, or Lucasfilm, I should say, just get this right. Just get this right.